Have you heard about my Dragonsteel Nexus Pass giveaway going on right now? Check out the link above for further details. Hey you geeks! 3 chapters dropped this week, and they brought so much new information that I didn't particularly know that I wanted, and yet did not provide any or very little of the information I specifically requested. Come on! Still, there was plenty to dive into with my spoilerific breakdown and theories, so full spoilers ahead for all tour release content, including Dragonsteel Prime, which is a book I haven't read, but know this one random factoid about that Sanderson just lampshaded these chapters. Let me know down in the comments if you think that counts.
I am 16, going on 17.
I was feeling so bad about mixing up the numbers last week because after publishing the video, I realized that Sanderson might wait for chapter 16 to do something clever about the nature of Adonalsium. However, instead of getting a huge exposition dump like I'd hoped, we only get vague hints and promises, or something like that. I suppose it was too much for me to hope that Cultivation would shard up and give a full and complete accounting of her actions, and Sanderson seems to realize that the reader is going to be frustrated with her in this scenario, as he lets Dalinar do the talking for the reader in this scene. "Are you here to help?" he said. "Can you tell me how to defeat Odium? Can I use my bondsmith powers?" "No, I cannot," she said. "Why not?" he asked. "Why not explain?" "Haven't you learned yet? You must find the answers yourself to respect their meaning." "Pardon," he said, "but that's a load of crap. If you give me the answers, I absolutely promise to respect them." Perhaps there is wisdom in Cultivation's lack of clarity, something about the journey or whatever, but I also feel like at this point she is putting on a serene goddess brave face to try and pick up all the things that she just broke apart before Roshar goes to damnation in a handbasket.
Ladies and gentlemen, well, I guess we had you fooled there for a minute. But it's all part of the show.
Still, she does give us some things. Enough at least to update that handy-dandy investiture map I drew a few weeks ago. Back then, I depicted how honor was attached to Roshar through the Stormfather and the Wind, but when the Wind got outed by Ba Adam Mishram and honor subsequently died, I portrayed his investiture as going into the Stormfather because, after all, that is basically what we had been told before by the Stormfather himself. "I am the sliver of the Almighty himself," the voice said, sounding angry. "I am the Stormfather. I will not let myself be bound in such a way as to kill me." And even if you are, like me, growing a bit skeptical of the spren known as the Stormfather, currently we had words of Brandon backing up our confidence, as he's told fans on multiple occasions that the Stormfather is a sliver of honor, and doubling down said that the Stormfather is honor's cognitive shadow. Dying for a shard takes a long time in a lot of cases, so it's similar, but the Stormfather is something different, inaudible, remnants left over after the god died. So, is he dead? Honor is dead, yes, but at the same time, the Stormfather is kind of his cognitive shadow. So, what does dead mean? Up until this chapter, I had thought that dead meant Tanavast was dead, and that Honor's investiture was being held in the spiritual realm by the Stormfather? But Cultivation's words have me rethinking this concept. Some say that honor was splintered by odium when he killed Tanavast, as he did to others before, becoming the Spren, as the power of a god left alone will begin to think. But they're wrong. The Spren existed before Tanavast's death. They are of him, but they are not the core of his power. It still exists. It is the power and substance of the visions you were shown, starting years ago. It seeks for men to see their heritage, as it searches for a new vessel to hold it. See, I had always just thought that the Stormfather was the new vessel. Hadn't he also been tasked with seeking out a new bondsmith of sorts? Yeah, that didn't quite add up, but neither does this accounting either. There are inconsistencies with what we have been told before. Told before by, of course, the Stormfather himself, who is now super sus. Along with her limited words of wisdom, Cultivation also gives Dalinar a quest. Now, I have my concerns about kings taking advice from strange women lying in swamps, but this particular quest seems to fit with the whole Stormlight vibe so much that I think I'm just gonna recycle the first GIF I ever made in my Way of Kings video for it.
This journey to the past.
Though I must admit, I blatantly overlooked this possibility in my video last week. I had always assumed that the deep history of honor and the origins of the heralds and the off-worlders was going to come in the back 5, and if we were lucky, we were going to get the recreants in book 5. Though Dalinar, not knowing that he's in a 10-book series, is going to quest for them now anyway. Seek the spiritual realm, where gods dwell. You have the ability to get there, perhaps even the ability to return. There you will receive the final truths of the heralds, the radiance, and honor himself. Go and seek it, Dalinar Kholin, if you would finish this journey. Though, just because Dalinar is going to try, it doesn't mean he will succeed, especially now that the Stormfather is openly opposed to such ideas. There is more. Could I see how the heralds were chosen? How people came to Roshar? Could I see what caused honor to die? The Stormfather rumbled softly and sounded even angrier. Cultivation indicated I should seek these answers, Dalinar said. Her suggestion is dangerous, Dalinar. Too dangerous. Take care. Advising caution isn't necessarily a front for nefarious intentions. Nora says something quite similar to Gox in the lift ride up later, and I'm pretty sure that Nora isn't trying to undermine the Azish throne because, for practical purposes, she is the Azish throne, so I think we can trust her to do what's best for her country. Then again, we haven't caught Nora lying to characters yet, as we have with the Stormfather, or is it the Stormfaker? Let me know your thoughts down in the comments. Can we trust the Stormfather? Chickens of Prey. Shuan's hunt for the Ghostbloods is underway, and despite myself, I'm really enjoying all this quality time with her merry band of deserters. We've known Gaz since book 1, and Red and Shab mostly in book 3. So it's good to see how their journeys are playing out thus far. In prior series, I've complained that Sanderson has a bad habit of leaving the crew behind after book 1, and I was just floored that Bridge 4 made it 3 books in the Stormlight archive. So it's nice to see that he is trying to appease the fandom a bit. Yet, for all Shallan's character development that she demonstrates with the guys, I fear that she has already lost track of the point of her mission. Mraize always thinks he has the upper hand, Radiant said. He thrives on keeping people off balance by dangling information like bait. The best way to nullify his advantage is to uncover his secrets. We're going to try to do something they don't think is possible. We're going to steal those secrets. Barely a day ago, Shallan left Lasting Integrity with the stated goal of finding and freeing Ba'eda Mishram. Now that she's got her crew in tow, they are stealing secrets from the Ghostbloods. I can see how if the Ghostbloods are the biggest threat to the success with Ba'eda Mishram, this is related, but I don't see how this really progresses towards her ultimate goal. In fact, I find this scarily reminiscent of her antics in Kholinar and giving out free food instead of, actually investigating the cult in the heart of the revel. Wit had to do all the groundwork for her there. The cultist said, "You asked for this. You've been leaving whispers through the city that you want to join the revel." Wit's work, apparently. She'd have to thank him. "Why are you here?" the cultist asked, sounding curious. "What is it you want, Swift Spren, so-called hero of the markets?" So, here's my cheerful pessimism coming out to say that Shallan's latest plan is going to fail. Terribly! Not only because it is based on the faulty premise that the Ghostbloods don't know that Ba'eda Mishram is in the spiritual realm when we know that they do know that, but also for Shallan on a personal level when she realizes that this new plan is not actually getting her any closer to discovering the whereabouts of the evil Spren lady. And Wit won't be there to pull her out of this one, so I hope she grows this book and learns how to fix it on the fly. International cooperation. Just as Shallan is on her own course to learn from the mistakes she made at Kholinar, Adolin is likewise, though his path is, of course, much more mentally direct. "You fight directly for your people," Yanagan said softly to him, "with sword in hand. Are you ever frightened you won't be strong enough, High Prince?" Adolin said, "In answer to your question, yes. I get storming terrified that I'll fail. Again. Kholinar fell when I was sent to save it. Not a day passes that I haven't thought about that." I see in Adolin a deep desire to want to save another city in need of rescuing. A city like Azamir. And we see in how he and Dalinar both left their guards behind on the way to this meeting. Dalinar did it knowing he had guards, while Adolin didn't know because Shallan still needs to work on that communication thing. Adolin is clearly a man of action with a strong, passionate desire to do what's right. This desire he, in Sanderson protagonist fashion, recognizes needs to be tempered with some rationalism, something like Gox has in abundance. "We merely need to hold out, then," Yanagan said, "for 8 more days. Then we have peace. Storms." With that, the tone of the room changed again. Or perhaps Adolin hadn't been reading it correctly in the first place. Dalinar met Yanagan's eyes, then bowed his head in a sign of respect and thanks. When had the young emperor learned such maturity? Or perhaps Adolin should be wondering why he hadn't learned the same. This scene seems to be setting the groundwork for a classic Sanderson character pairing. Adolin has courage and passion and action that sometimes gets him into trouble, while Yanagon's serene rationalism leads him to feel timid and not very helpful. They both can help each other and drive that chariot higher to possibly save Azimir in the end.
Louis, I think this is the beginning of a beautiful friendship.
And, of course, if Adolin dies in the defense of Azimir, then that's going to do wonders for the Alethi-Asish relations. So many of you guys commented that last week, that Adolin is doomed to die, that I am accepting it and incorporating it into my gleeful pessimism. Any day that Adolin lives is a good one. Define your storming terms. And now, to spoil that plot mechanic from Dragonsteel Prime, apparently, if you have a dragon's bones that they apparently give out, you can use it to talk to or pray to a dragon in a more fitting cosmerization of the real-world concepts of relics, better than whatever it is the Threnodites have going on. Apparently, Hoyd took one of Frostbone's back in the day for the purposes of a prank call, and now he uses it to call in an actual emergency.
There's something weird, and it don't look good. Who you gonna call?
Now that we know the origin of Wit's bone phone, let's unpack what in tarnation he is talking about. The general idea is this. In Dalinar's negotiations, he argued for the return of Alethkar and Herdaz, entire kingdoms. Then he agreed to Odium's request. Odium can try for entire kingdoms with his attacks. By Alethi law, this means he has to capture their seat of power, because if he can take it, he claims the entire kingdom. Okay, let's unpack that above and beyond blah blah blah.
And now some legal jargon!
The thing about legal jargon is that it is so storming important to define your terms at the beginning of the document. Not legal advice. Dalinar here didn't do that in his conversation with Odium, nor did he later mark the following lines as mere dicta. Dalinar said, "You will restore to me Herdaz and Alethkar. Keep whatever other lands you've taken. They mostly followed you freely anyway." I also find it very amusing that this vague concept of a noun, the unclear antecedent, is exactly the sort of problem that Adolin got into with his challenge of a duel. I'll fight you and anyone you bring with. One does not have a clear limitation, no limiting antecedent. Whereas the word lands in Dalinar's sentence here is preceded by the concepts of Alethkar and Herdaz, which are in fact whole nations. Therefore, of any of the definitions for the word lands could apply to, nations is the most logical based on the context. Even with this knowledge of how Taravangian would eventually parse apart this sentence, this new revelation about Alethi codes of war, making it so that you only had to capture the seat of power to rule their domain, is pretty new, and frankly, I would have thought it would have been foreshadowed in the Alethi War of Unification under the Kholins. Unless, of course, this was a new law added by good King Gavilar when he was setting about his plans for conquering the rest of the world. I mean, if Napoleon could have written this into Russians' codes of war, he totally would have.
In a little while, he will abandon Moscow because he has no means of supplying his army. Then, when he is retreating, we will attack.
Even if this last legal kerfuffle wasn't foreshadowed at all, I'm okay with this slight raise of stakes. It feels to me like fighting for the capitals was the inevitable battleground of Wind and Truth. I just thought they would stay for the Oathgates themselves rather than now the whole kit and caboodle. Not to mention, the last time Sanderson wrote a siege-type storyline was Mistborn Era 1, and I really want to see how he's improved this plot mechanism since then. Back in the story, Wit has now figured out not only the unclear antecedent loophole, but moreover that Race would not have been able to figure it out. So he gets the pleasant job of telling the monarchs they are up a creek. My friends, we are facing an enemy we do not know and cannot anticipate. And whoever it is, they're a genius. One who has devised a ploy to conquer all of Roshar in 10 days.
I know. It's called a cruel irony.
Who could Odium be? Since we know, just let me know down in the comments if you think anyone's going to figure it out before he reveals himself at the Duel of the Champions. If then. Now, be sure to check out my Dragonseal Nexus Pass giveaway, link somewhere around here, as well as like, share, and subscribe if you want to see more. Thanks for watching. Bye!